So hi, Kimberbellas and fellas. I'm Lisa. I work here at Quilt Beginnings, and we are going to start this Erin Crossbody Bag for the month of October. So let's get started. So I want you to take your kit, and there is everything that you need. It should probably be in here. There's 4 of your feature fabrics. This is your handle. And this is a bigger piece of fabric for you to use as part of this. I'm trying to move slow. And then we have SF101 and your stabilizer and your fabrics. So that should all be included in your kit. And the first thing there's 5 parts to this project. So it's involved. This one is more involved than usual. So we're preparing the fabrics. So I want you to take your SF101 and go ahead and iron it on the back of all of your fabrics. So after you get your SF101 fabrics or ironed on the back of your fabrics, they want you to take this strap and you're going to cut 2-inch strips. So you're going to get 2 of them out of that. And they also want you to cut your fabrics down. And there you get 2 fronts and 2 backs. And that is going to create the lining on the inside. So it's nice and well lined inside there. And then the front above the zipper, I want you to iron this like this, and that's going to be on the front. And this one is going to go down here later on, but that I only want you to iron one of them, and then these 2 are not ironed, and then you have 2 for the back. So with the magic of videotaping and all of that, I already cut, I should say, the 2-inch strips. And everybody should know, but if you don't, I'll just go over this real quick. They show you how to miter. It's very detailed in the instructions. You always have top one right side up, and then the one that's closest to you, it's right side down. You pin, draw a line, and I always have my handy dandy small rulers here. Those of you who know me, I'm a ruler snob. And then you go ahead and sew there, trim it, iron it open, and then I'm going to show you how to iron this. So move this. I'm trying to move along here real quick. And hopefully, so we are going to do a little bit of pretending here that I have sewn all these together. So you're going to do this all the way down. And I'm just going to do a little bit for you. So you iron it in half, just like you're going to do binding on a quilt. Only we're going to make a strap. So you do this all the way down, and then I go back and I fold this side on the inside. So sometimes a strap, you sew it on one side and then you turn it, what we call turning it. And this one you fold to the center and then sew down both sides. And I'll show you what that looks like when I get this done. So and then you iron this one into the center. And again, we're just preparing our fabric. Sorry about that. I'm really loud when I pick up the iron. Okay. So you iron it like that, and then you fold it in. And then you are going to sew all the way down. It makes a nice long strap. You're going to sew on both sides. So this is the sewing part of the project. And you're sewing and ironing part of the project. And when you're finished, voila! Then you end up with a strap like this. And I don't know if you can see it, but I've sewn on both sides of it, going slow. And then while you're at it, go ahead and iron the end down. And they say to cut this off, which I can do this real quick. And, but first, before you do that, I should say, I want you to do one end or two ends together. I want you to make these two tabs. So, and they have you cut them at 1 3/4 inches. And that's what's going to be this part. Let me get it for you. These are going to be folded inside the project right here. So those are those tabs. And you could go ahead and iron those down so that they're all ready. And you're just folding them in half, and it gives just a little bit of an idea of how you need to fold it down. I'm going to clip those and let those sit to the side. And then I want you to take the ends that you've already sewn. I think they said 1/4 inch, 1/2 inch, and then, and again, this is already sewn. And you're going to make a loop just about like that so that your rings can go in that part of the loop. Does everybody see that? So do that to both ends. I left my strap nice and long, and I figure if somebody else wears it, you can knot it and make it shorter or longer. So that is the sewing part of this project. So let's go on and move on to the embroidery. You'll probably have to trim your stabilizer, so make it so it fits in the 5x7 hoop. So I'm going to take this over, and you do have to load the backing quilting part on from your USB onto your machine. So there's two programs to this: the backing quilting and then the front embroidery. So I'm going to move over to the machine. So now we are over here at the sewing machine or the embroidery machine, and I have loaded the backing quilting program into the sewing machine, embroidery machine. I'm going to go ahead and load my hoop, and you are going to sew that placement stitch right on the stabilizer. So I gotta get oriented. And by the way, folks, I am using Floriani 452 for most of this project. So, and I have ivory thread, just a pre-wound bobbin in my bobbin area. So it's gonna just sew that placement stitch for the batting. Okay, so the next part then, it already stitched around the placement stitch for the batting. So I'm going to just do a placement stitch. A lot of times they use tape in the instructions. I'm so used to doing this that I don't use tape for this. There comes a time when I do like to use tape though. Okay, so for the next step, I'm going to take it over to the cutting area, and I'm going to trim around here. So that's what your instructions say. We are on step 6. And I like to use these handy dandy Hoop Sisters scissors. So to me, they're my favorite. So feel free to use whatever you're most comfortable with. But they have a little valley in there, so you can kind of get down in here. And it doesn't have to be completely perfect because it's all going to get covered up. Okay, back to the machine again. God bless you. Okay, and so this is the part where I want you to take your fabric, and they do want you to place it right side up. And again, it says tape. I don't tape. It's not going anywhere because it's really sticking to that batting really well. So I just kind of smooth it down. And again, I'm just going to use that Floriani thread. Okay, and the next step is the fun part. It's going to stitch out the actual quilting part of the back. So here we go. Okay, so for our next step, this is pretty important. They want you to change your bobbin thread so that when you go to put the whole bag together, you have these registration marks, and they're going to be right over here on the corners. So I'm going to change my bobbin, and I already brought one handy dandy bobbin. It's got this kind of goldish on it, so it's just a little bit different than the ivory. So I'm going to put this in. When this embroidery arm is over this close, I feel like a bull in a china shop. I feel like I can't get over here. There we go. Okay, so I've got that bobbin replaced, and it's going to stitch out those registration marks. Okay, people, so that is finished embroidering. You do not want to trim that fabric yet. You don't need to. And at this time, I'm going to pull this out, but you will want to delete this program and put the embroidery applique program on, and I'll show you what that looks like. But I also wanted to show you what those registration marks look like too. So I might give them a little bit of a haircut later, but you might want to do that too, just because it's bothering me. So okay, so we'll go ahead and load. Take this one out. Okay, to cancel pattern, yes. Okay. And the pattern that you want to come up it looks like this. It starts out like that. And the first 2 steps or 3 steps that I have done, I've already done, because I was going to try to be smart and do some of this at home. But I realized that I started the wrong thing, and it was getting to be dinner time, and my husband was calling me. So I just went ahead and checked the whole thing, and I thought I'd bring my own hoop in. So I'm going to skip. It's basically the same steps. You're going to stitch on your stabilizer, place your batting down, And then it's going to stitch out this stitch. And we are going to be putting in a zipper real soon. I do need to look at my directions. I am going to forward the machine so it gets me on the right step. So that was the stitch down. Okay, and then that's the stitch down placement stitch for the zipper. But they do want me to trim the batting after this step. And it says here in the directions, I don't know if you can see it, it's step 6, and I've got all these arrows. You just want to cut over that gap. You want to leave it there. So trim straight across the gap in the stitching, shown in purple on my sheet. So I'm going to go over to the cutting station and do that. Okay, so the next thing I can do, I already stitched out my placement line for the zipper, and now I can trim out my batting. So I'm going to go in here and trim out this. And I can do this one, I think, just right here in my spot. Okay, so everybody, if you can see that, now I've got kind of like this bare spot where just my stabilizer is showing. So I'm going to kind of put this in here just a little bit. I'm going to take my big long zipper, and you just want to make sure that you have your tab clear over on the outside. You don't have to worry about that yet.
Facing down, right?
No, it is facing up. You do want it facing up. So good point, good point. Yes, you want it facing up. And I'm going to tape over. And again, this Kimberbell tape is really good. You can stitch right over it and it comes right out. So I'm going to stitch it or tape it this way in 3 spots. One time where I like to use tape, especially when you're working with a zipper. You don't want it to move. I'll just do one more real quick. And again, the zipper should be facing up. That's what it looks like in the picture. So, okay, my embroidery is going to move. Okay, I'm going to just check and make sure I'm in the right spot. Yep, okay. On my computer machine. Okay, so it's going to stitch that down, tack it down. Okay, so at this point in time, I want to remove the tape. It got a little bit bunched up there, but that's not an issue. I'm going to go ahead and remove the tape. Okay, so I'm going to take out my hoop, and there's a little bit of a pregnant pause there, right? But I'm not pregnant. Anyway, so I'm going to trim inside, or I'm going to kind of go in. I'm going to take this little tiny scissors for right now and see if I can get inside. You need to carefully trim this stabilizer. I don't think I had so much trouble before. Here I go. So I've got that started. And I think I might go ahead and switch scissors. You want to trim out the stabilizer. And you can see I'm not cutting any of the stitches, but I want to make sure that we can get to that zipper when we're all done. And this is cutaway stabilizer, so I couldn't tear it. I don't know if that'll show or not. I don't think it will. So it kind of will look like that. Okay, so I've pulled the hoop out, and I've done the tack down stitch for the zipper. And next we want to attach the top of the zipper covering. So you want to place your fabric wrong side up. And I'm going to place it right along that top line, because you have plenty of fabric we're going to flip and fold. So I'm going to place it right on that top line. And I'm probably going to tape it while it's flat here. Just tape it down a little bit so it doesn't move too much. And it's going to do a tack down line. Okay, close that up. There we go. Okay, so the next part, I'm going to just take this, and you can hope maybe you can see it. I'll pull it out. And this is what you kind of call a flip and fold or sew and fold. I want to get it flat here. And I am going to tape it down, tape this one down so that it stays. And I'm going to kind of finger press it down just a little bit. And I might do one more quick one. Yeah, okay, one more quick one. And it's probably going to stitch right over that tape, but it comes right out, which is really nice. Okay. And that tab, I'm going to move the tab just a little bit. So it's going to tack down, go around the outside, and it's going to be basically the top of your purse. Okay, and then there's not going to be a placement line on the next step. They just want you to take the bottom half, and it's the smaller piece. When they had you cut, they had you cut like 6 by 9 or something like that, and this is the 6 by 8, or it's the smaller one, and it's the one that goes below the zipper. That's what they call it. I'm going to put it. Goodness, I can't see here all of a sudden. Which is the right? Okay, here's. You're going to put it up here, and I'm going to put it right on the. I'm going to check and make sure. Yes. And I'm putting it wrong side up or right side down because it's going to sew here, and we're going to flip it and fold it. So I'm going to do a little bit of tape so it doesn't go too far on me. And I'm going to tack that down. I'm going to go ahead and remove the tape because we don't want that part sewn in underneath our bag. Might get crinkly and sound crinkly. So I'm going to kind of finger press it down. And it's sticking to the batting pretty well, so I'm not going to worry about taping this one. So I finger pressed it down, and it's just going to stitch on the outside. Okay, and the next step is the most fun part. It's quilting. It's going to quilt the front of your bag or your crossbody bag. So this is quite a long stitch out, so I'm just going to go ahead and get it started. Okay. Okay, so the next step, it's showing that it's going to show a placement stitch for our first applique. So all you have to do is it takes a few seconds, and it does not matter what order. You can use any color anywhere. Now they called for a larger piece of this color, the teal, whoops, here we go, of the teal, but a 5-inch square would take care of that. So. And I'm already going to use some of this fabric that I've used before. So I'm going to use, I think, yeah, I'll just use this. It's going to be fine. I just need to make sure that I have those lines covered. It's kind of hard to see a little bit, so, but I'm going to use up all of this fabric. I'm going to make sure I have it all covered. I'm not worried about taping it down. You can. And this is a typical applique project for the next few steps. So you're gonna do this same step for all of these applique pieces. So I'm gonna trim around it. Again, it's the same step. Tack down and trim around, and then it's gonna move on to the next one. So I just kind of wanted to show you that's what we're gonna do. So we'll come back when most of this is tacked down. Okay, so we finished our applique portion of this top of your bag. Sorry, I stuttered. I did go ahead and check my bobbin because this is kind of a long stitch out. It's 11 minutes on this machine. So we'll go ahead and get this started. Okay, it's just finishing up the stitching right now. Okay. So the next step is I'm going to take this out. And this is where it's going to put the lining on the back of this top piece of your crossbody bag. So I want you to take your folded fabric. Remember how we ironed that at the front, at the beginning? It said we prepared our fabric. So I'm going to put that fold right below those zipper teeth. And there's kind of like a stitch line right there that I'm kind of going to go put it down. I keep slipping. And I'm going to just tape it in place. This is another time when I'm going to tape it in place. It's just below that stitch line and below the zipper teeth. And it's going to tack this below the zipper lining front down. We're getting close, my friends. Okay, I'm going to flip it over. It's going to stitch that in place. And it doesn't matter what color thread I have in there, I still have that ivory thread. Oh, I'm getting low on thread up here. Wow, okay. Should have enough though. Okay, so the next step is we're going to do above the zipper. I'm going to take my hoop out, turn it over, and one of my tapes came loose, but it's okay. Didn't hinder the stitching at all. So, and okay, so I'm going to take this folded part. I'm going to put it right on that stitch line right above. Can you see this okay, Kathy? Mm-hmm. Okay. Okay, and I'm just going to stitch it down. It's going to tack it down up here. I better maybe put a little bit of tape there. When I wrap packages, I tape the daylights out of it, so when I do use tape, I use a lot, I guess. Okay, it's going to tack down that lining. Okay, so the next step, it's going to do those, not registration marks, but maybe, or placement stitches. And it says to change your thread. I'm not going to. I can see it well enough that I know about where to place them. So I'm not going to worry about changing my thread at this time. am going to go ahead and pull this out. Just go ahead and take some of this tape out just in case. So I have all of my tape off, and the next step is, remember how I had you fold those little tiny tabs in half? Let me see if I can get them up here so that you can see. And you're going to put the raw edges toward the top of the hoop, and you want the fold toward the design, because when you flip this and turn it inside out, you want your fold, the loop, to be on the outside. Now I probably am going to tape this down just pretty well. I didn't check to see how high my presser foot goes, but in my machine at home, it was plenty high enough, because this is pretty thick, you know, going through some fabric. And I kind of lined it up, I don't know if you can see it, so that you have that fold right there on that top stitch line for the zipper. I'm gonna try to get it in here straight. Should have trimmed that off. Okay, that's kind of what it looks like right there. I've got it taped down on both ends. I could tape the whole thing, but I don't think I'm going to need to. And I am going to kind of watch the machine closely and stop it if I need to, if it gets hung up on that high thickness. It's going to be fine. Okay, so the next step is going to stitch down. I changed my bobbin thread, and it's going to stitch down a registration stitch so that I know where to line up the backing of the bag. We are almost done. Okay, so for the next part, I'm going to go over to the cutting table. Okay, so I have opened up my zipper at about that far. I have put 2 thumbtacks in catty corner, and then you're going to just tack it down and just try to get those 2 thumbtacks real close to the corners. And okay, because when the sewing machine stitches, it's going to stitch kind of on the inside. So none of this is going to be, none of this other, you know, excessive stitching is going to show. I'm going to tape this down. You definitely want to use tape again on this part. And try not to stick yourself with those 2 thumbtacks or those thumbtacks that you have in there. And again, I think if you have it close, if you just can't find thumbtacks, I think that's okay. Okay, tape, tape, tape. Once I get it taped, I can turn it over because we do not want to sew with the thumbtacks in there. Just kind of gently pull them out. Put them in my... Okay. Alrighty. And then they do want you to turn it over, and I'm pretty sure it's going to stitch that down, and I know it seems crazy, but you are going to stitch it all the way closed because you have the zipper to open up this part of it. So we're going to take it over to the machine and stitch it down. Okay. Okay, so the next step, they want you to remove the hoop, turn it to the back of the hoop, place the back lining fabric right side down. Let's see, yep, it's the back of the hoop. I just want to double check my directions. And you're going to place your fabric right side down, wrong side up. Let me see if I can, yeah, there I can see it. And we'll need to tape this one down as well. And it's gonna, when it stitches, it's gonna leave an opening at the bottom. And then we slip stitch that closed as soon as let me grab some tape. Okay. Okay, and I'll reiterate what I just did. I turned it to the back of the hoop. I'm putting my right side down, wrong side up. I'm going to double check my directions, make sure. Yeah, right side down. And it's going to stitch this final stitch. And we are close, my friends. Okay, we are finished with our embroidery. That's a happy sound. Okay, so next step, I'm going to go over to the cutting station because we can remove our project from the hoop. We're going to trim. Put this over here. And I've got tape, 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 tape. Now I can finally trim this all off. Trim through the zipper and everything. Let me see, checking, okay. Okay, so we are almost done, friends. Okay, so what you need to do is find that opening there. I'm going to turn it this way. Okay, so after you've got that bottom slip stitch closed real quick, then you're going to flip it for the final time. And it takes a little bit of finger dexterity to get that through. And I brought my little turning tool. I'm just going to kind of keep working it. And it's so fun. Look at that, it's so cute. Okay, so look everybody, you have a finished bag. It's lined on the inside. You can zip it closed. My cell phone is fairly small. It fits right in here. We have these little key rings, and everybody can, you know how to put your straps on there, and then you just put the straps on this way. And when you're all done, it looks like this. So, ta-da! Okay, so I hope everyone has had a wonderful time with this Erin Crossbody bag, and we will see you next month.